That's on. Give me your little thing with your fingers. That's his trademark. My trademark is welcome back to the Fully Lacking Podcast, episode 35, where a couple of ADHD dudes and the producer try to get through life. I'm your host, Drew. This is your host, Anthony. And behind the camera, behind the boards, the third leg to the tripod, we'd be nothing without our producer, Lisa. We are a Fully Lacking team. And hey, before we jump into this, that's where you can find us on all social media, Fully Lacking. Do not forget, Fully Lacking on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you find your entertainment, we're there.
The trend is to say things that you do, I don't want to say maliciously, or thoughts that you have of the other person. I don't know. That's it. I'm scared. You're looking at me weird.
No, I'm just listening. I'm listening and I'm not judging. I'm practicing.
Okay.
All right, so I think, Anthony, what you have to do is you have to say, we listen and we don't judge, and then you fire off, okay? We'll say it on three.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. We listen and we don't judge.
Whenever your chewing's in, it makes you have this very weird smile, and I get creeped out by you every time you smile with Zen in your mouth. And I really wish you'd just stop chewing it for that reason. Like, screw the health reasons. The creepy smile bothers me. Like, I worry about nightmares with it.
Okay. We listen and we don't judge. We listen and we don't judge.
Want to do one and then we'll come back around?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll do one. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. We listen and we don't judge. Sometimes when me and you are hanging out, I say things to trigger you, to see how frustrated you get, because you're quite adorable when you're mad. And sometimes I take things too far. But I do it. And it's fun for me.
You're doing that creepy smile right now.
I was in it right now, I say. Okay. We listen and we don't judge. Producer Lisa, it's on you. You know what to do. 3, 2, 1. We listen and we don't judge.
Sometimes, Anthony, when Drew invites you over, I don't want you to come over. But not in a bad way. Just like, I'm peopled out.
Like if I invite him in the morning?
We listen and we don't judge.
We listen and we don't judge.
He comes over in the morning?
Sometimes. Not anymore.
No, in the morning. In the morning, it's fine.
Maybe it's just evenings.
Yeah.
After a long day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But you're welcome anytime.
You got another banger for us?
Sure.
I feel like you have another banger for us. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. We listen and we don't judge.
Lisa, sometimes...
You don't want to come over?
1, sometimes I know you don't want me over. 2, sometimes during the podcast when we're recording, you bring up some random topic that interrupts the flow of the podcast and has nothing to do with what we're saying, and it's something related personally to the family or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, why right now? That's all.
We listen and we don't judge.
Welcome to my brain.
All right. You guys, I think I have another one. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We listen and we don't judge. Lisa, sometimes I eat Chick-fil-A without telling you because it bothers me for you to know how much I like it.
I knew you went to Chick-fil-A.
Yesterday I went twice.
What?
Yeah.
Twice?
Yeah.
We got any more bangers?
Lisa probably has one. For me.
Oh, yeah.
3, 2, 1. We listen and we
Don't judge.
Sometimes I'll check your location and see where you're at. And then when you get home, I'm like, hey, did you eat today?
Did you know I was at Chick-fil-A?
I knew you were at Chick-fil-A.
I forgot I had gone, and then I had the cup in my truck when I got out of, like, when I left the office. I was like, shit, I guess I had food. And then when she called me, she's like, are you hungry? I was like, no, not really. Because I didn't know how to tell her. I went to her favorite restaurant earlier.
No, you don't need to tell her anymore.
Yeah, now she knows.
So beep, 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 beep.
I just knew. But I think it was because I called you and you didn't answer.
That little sandwich I eat, that little wrap is only like 450 calories. It's fire. It's really good too. That was fun. This was fun. I think we're all better for it.
I have a parent one.
Okay. We listen and we don't judge.
One time, our son Rudolph had a fish. He had 2 fish. And I very much let them die. I didn't clean their tank or feed them.
Were you surprised when Sonic died?
I was surprised when Sonic died because he had a filter, but the other one, I just put him in a
the
vase.
Yeah.
It's a neglect.
Remember when our old friend we don't speak about thought she killed our fish and then bought us a new fish and then we had 2 fish?
Yeah, and I let them both
Deceased.
kick the can.
They
Yeah.
don't have legs.
It's a figure of speech, Drew.
Kick the can for real?
Yeah. Are
I
you
didn't
being
know. I
serious?
didn't know kick the can was a saying.
Yeah.
Kick the bucket.
Oh no. Damn it, Lisa. I was trying to defend you there.
Kick the bucket.
Kick the
for
bucket
sure.
for sure. Kick the can's a game that you play when you're very poor.
Yeah, kick the bucket. Our dads kicked the bucket. I want to talk about our popses a little bit, if that's cool, because I
Okay.
feel like on our podcast, and if you guys have been listening and watching, and you guys know us, we like have a weird stigma around dead dad humor in the sense of like, maybe it's the way we have coped. I don't know. I found humor only because like it's kind of paralyzing to think. Like I'm not gonna do like a top 3 dad memories or anything, but do you like have fond memories of your dad? Is there like things that stand out to you that aren't gonna make you cry on the podcast that like you're okay talking about that you guys maybe experienced together? Because your pops died when you were young. So
Yeah.
it's a little.
Me and a friend were playing out in the field across the street. And it's just random stuff. And we had BB guns and whatever.
Yeah.
And we found this rusted can, like a spray paint can.
Yeah.
And I'm smart, but I'm also not smart. So I said, hey,
You don't
let's
say.
shoot at the, what'd you say?
Nothing.
Okay, better. So, let's shoot the spray paint can with the BB guns. Well, we shot and we shot. It wasn't making a big deal. So I was like, with my smart idea was, let me get a big rock and throw it at this spray paint can.
Okay.
And so I was the smarty who grabbed the big rock, and my friend had the wherewithal to turn around, and then I didn't. So once it pierced the can, it did a circular spraying motion, and it covered me in all black, and then it covered my friend the quarter black.
Wait, what? Okay.
And we had to walk back to my house. We walked up, I think it was to my mom first. And she was upset. And she was like, go talk to your dad. And then my dad saw us. And he just laughed at us.
Yeah, hell yeah, he did.
And
How else would he respond to that? That's good.
it's just a sense of humor and laid backness, you
Your
know?
dad was like a chill guy.
Yeah.
Very chill guy. Like hands in his pocket.
All
chill
right.
guy.
All right, youngster.
My dad just never grew up. Like my dad was a kid. Like I remember we went on a trip to Phoenix. And his dad was from Phoenix. Like my grandpa's from Phoenix, low key. And so like there's a lot of family out there. So we went out there to this thing called the Winter Nationals. And it was the NHRA, is the National Hot Rod Association, Winter Nationals, right? And we went out there with his friend Jerry Powers, and we shared a hotel room, a big old hotel room. We went and we watched like the national drag racings. And I remember being there with my dad and like, I guess forgetting that my dad grew up as like a grease monkey. Like he just worked on cars. Like my grandpa owned a Shell station in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so what? Chevron station. I apologize. Chevron station in Santa Fe. Ironically, producer Lisa's dad was a runner for like a parts runner, right? Like or a helper for the guy that worked kind of in another shop with my grandpa. I know, but what?
I was just talking to the mic.
He was a mechanic, but I thought he was younger and he would do stuff for him. My grandpa was older, so are you sure?
They knew each other.
Nonetheless, they knew each other, but my dad grew up working on cars and stuff. And so I remember seeing my dad in this whole different light because he was talking about all these cool things about the cars. And like, there's these, I think it's called Top Fuel, something like that type of cars. And they run off like jet fuel, I think. And my dad was like, all right, now listen. And I'll never forget this experience, bro, because I felt like my dad was God in this moment. He was like, now listen, though we're close, you're going to feel a lot of pressure on your chest. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I just need you to be aware that you're going to feel pressure on your chest. And I was like, why? He's like, well, the way that these engines are ran, they're ran kind of like a jet plane. And so it's kind of like the same force. And I was like, all right. And then I remember these cars take off. They're so loud, bro. And like their fat wheels would become skinny when they were burning out, like skinny. It was so cool. And they took off and I felt like I had been pushed. And then I looked at my dad and I was like, you're right. He goes, how do you feel? I was like, this is amazing. He goes, this is it. This is what we look for. Bro, it was so weird. It was like my dad had a glowing aura of him that day because he knew everything. He was like
Jesus? He had a glow?
It was, no,
like the second coming?
He didn't have
kinda?
like long hair or sandals or anything, but he was definitely in pants, not a robe.
He didn't have long hair or sandals?
He had a mullet. My dad had a mullet.
Nice.
Yeah, he was probably in jorts though. With
You've mentioned that before.
Yeah, with like Nikes and long socks.
Yeah.
And he just every car that pulled up, because there was like the street cars and then there was the funny cars and then there was the top fuel cars. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry, it's been a while, but my dad would tell me, I was like, oh, this Nova's going to beat this El Camino, or that school bus is going to beat this truck. And I'd be like, how in the world? But just by hearing it, he can tell if a car was cammed. He could tell if it was like, so, and I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, it's like a superhero.
It was
car superhero.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. And like my dad like knew everything about everything. Like maybe it's like a dark memory to some people, but to me it was like kind of cool. Me and my friend Kevin were gonna go out one night, and like my dad got home, and like I could tell my dad was drinking. My dad was a really bad alcoholic and functioning, but nonetheless. And he like leaned into my friend's car because we were leaving the driveway right after he had pulled up, and like I remember he leaned into my friend's car and he says, "What are you boys doing tonight?" And I don't know, we'll probably go hang out with some friends. He's be drinking? I was like, what? No. Well, probably were, right?
Yeah.
He's like, red Fanta. Just drink red Fanta. You'll never get in trouble with the cops. I was like, what? He's like, they can't smell it on your breath. Walked into the house. It just mic dropped on a bunch of teenage boys.
Some Alki pro-life tips.
And then my friend Kevin's like, dude, your dad's so cool. I was like, all right, like, okay. He was just such a random guy, bro. I don't know, like, there had to have been things your dad did that was like, who the fuck is this guy?
I mean, my dad was a grown-ass kid.
Yeah.
We went on a field trip in 6th grade to the balloon fiesta.
Ooh, yeah.
And he was asking my friends and I to look for a Bud Light balloon. And he said, whoever finds a Bud Light balloon first gets $5. There was no Bud Light balloon, but the fact that a school chaperone was asking children of my age to find a Bud Light balloon was egregious enough. And I think we even came back when we did like a thank you card, and within the thank you card we drew a Bud Light hot air balloon and said, "Hey, we found it." And so, like, you know, it's just the kind of like inappropriate, wild stuff that.
Yeah.
Another field trip, I think I have a couple of field trip memories, is I think we went ice skating.
Ooh, that's cool.
And I don't remember the ice skating trip. I remember on the way back, though, is my dad was riding on the bus with us, and he farted. It was like a loud one, too.
What the heck?
He played it off really cool, like, but it was pretty embarrassing at the time.
In the bus?
Yeah. It was a loud one rip.
Did everybody laugh?
I think so. But my dad was just so, like, nonchalant with that kind of stuff. Like, there's just no shame. And it's just always like been a cool trait to.
What did he do for a living again?
My dad worked for the city first for Socorro.
Yeah.
City of Socorro. And then he worked for the New Mexico Firefighters Training Academy. So all of the firefighters in the state, I think it's the only one in the state, would go there and train. And he was maintenance there. I mean, my dad was, despite my own shortcomings, my dad was a very hands-on kind of guy. Maybe he was a little handsy too. I don't know. But he was a very hands-on kind of guy. He could build patio furniture out of 2x4s and stain them and whatever. He could do that kind of stuff. And so he would weld over there or whatever. And it was cool. I had like worked there as like a summer job one time. Do you, not to like make you dig into your bag a little bit, but like, do you feel because of his early departure in your life, like you missed out on like heavy lessons? Early departure is like an airport terminology for my dad. Yeah, well, I'm assuming he went up, you know what I mean? So, hopefully. Yeah.
Nah, he's chilling with my pops. I'm just kidding. But like, do you feel like because he died when you were so young, that there's just things that you wish, like you're like, this could have been a cool lesson? And I'm not talking about like time, because time obviously you missed. But like, do you think that there was things that your dad would have taught you later?
Oh
in
no,
life?
100%.
Yeah.
There are things I didn't listen to that maybe if I stuck with it in high school, like car stuff. I remember him trying to show me car stuff.
No.
Now you're my poppy.
No.
And now you're showing me car stuff.
But you're good at it. Like you. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna make this about you. You're right.
Yeah. So, no, there's tons of stuff. I mean, girls. I don't know if my dad had any knowledge on like women to pass down to me because he was a goofy cat. But like in high school, whenever that stuff was kicking up, I mean, maybe he could have dropped some gems on me. I don't know. There's just I mean, there's tons of lessons. You know? It's just the developmental stages of life that past adolescence not there.
I just don't remember much knowledge. Not that sounds so bad, but like my dad was just always really medicated in a sense. You know what I mean? So like I don't remember those lessons from him either.
Who had your birds and bees talk with you?
Nobody.
Oh man.
Not a single person.
Not a soul.
Mm-mm. You? Your dad? Or no, it had to have been your mom.
I think
Did she remarry?
No.
Damn, good for her.
She dated and that was its
But
own
like
set of
nothing
trauma.
serious. Oh
Yeah,
shit. Okay, we don't have to dig into that.
Yeah.
Never had like hot stepsisters or anything. That'd have been cool. Is that illegal?
What?
What? I don't know. I don't know how that
things
works.
Things okay at home?
All right, cut it out. Chop. So your mom never remarried, right?
No.
Okay. So who had the birds of the bees conversation with
I'm pretty sure it was my mom.
I wonder how she did. Like, do you remember it?
She always used the analogy of don't forget to have your umbrella in the rain as protection. So I'm not going to go any further on that topic.
That's fine.
But I do, maybe that's what sticks out to me. You know what I mean?
Like condoms and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have the birds and the bees conversation, producer Lisa?
I was told that if you have sex before marriage, you're going to hell. So.
But weren't you born before your parents were married?
Yes. But
I would have put those dots together real quick. I'm like, I'll see you there, Mom.
I was just scared I was going to hell. But it was just sex was taboo. That was it.
Really? See, I don't want it to be like with our kid, like with Rodolfo, if you're, ethnic. I don't want it to be taboo, but I also want it to be a sensitive topic for him. You know what I mean? Like our kids are young, so we have some years, but like when it comes up, no pun intended, I want that conversation and that situation to be handled with like sincerity, with seriousness, but also like don't feel scared to talk to us if you end up, hooking up with somebody type stuff.
It's important to talk about the pitfalls of romance. You know what I mean? But
You're
it's
gonna kill that. You're gonna have so much experience for the pitfalls. You're gonna tell them what not to do.
And more what not to do. And more what not to do.
What to look out for. It's not always just you, all right? You'll be fine, but it's not always just you, okay?
Is there any good experience I have to offer him, Drew?
Yeah,
we done?
You're co-parenting.
That's fair.
I wouldn't
want to give him. I'm hoping he wouldn't be in that position.
But what I mean is like how to parent with a partner, because at one way or another, you and Blitzen's mom are partners in this, right?
Yeah.
I think that you guys have the best co-parenting situation I've ever seen, ever, to the point where I'm like, and then you're like, shut up. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I want to keep it, I want to keep it like as
heavy but
informative and serious. Yeah. I think those are the two important parts. Learn something.
Yeah.
Know that like it's not to be played around with. Like, there's things you got to look out for and be careful with out there. And, those kind of mistakes. Don't want to be like a teenage dad. No offense to
teenage
dads.
Yeah.
You want to, treat women with respect and respect their bodies and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I think I do get scared about Rudolph's like first heartbreak. Cause like he's a tough kid for sure. Like you've seen him, he's a tough kid, but emotionally sometimes he's a little shaky, and I think that I worry about that part because at one time I was a very sensitive, lovey kind of dude. And I think I still am, but just not the same way. Like I'm not able to be as vulnerable as I once was. And like life kicks you pretty hard sometimes. And especially when you're like you know, compensating for the fact like I was always a chubby dude, and so I had to like be extra cool or like extra like hard whatever. What are you saying? Why are you laughing? What do you no get it out? I don't know.
That was for you. I shed that tear for you and
that-
all of your woes.
Was I being a baby?
It was. I mean, Lisa, was it a little bit? For me, a little bit.
I mean, a little bit, but I do understand. I understand you.
We listen and we don't judge.
There's no that segment ended like 10 minutes ago. I'm judging, full on judging.
You would date me, dude. You would have dated you. We date now.
We do date
We
now.
went on a movie date recently. We went and watched Gladiator 2. I did something for the first time in a movie with you that I've never done ever in my life.
That's super great lead-in.
Yeah.
Super great.
You know what I did?
You fell asleep.
Fell asleep. I've never fallen asleep in a movie. Not once. I don't even think I've fallen asleep while watching a movie.
Like
ever.
in general?
Ever.
I do that all the time.
I love movies. Ask Lisa Marie here. I love movies. Yes or no? Obsessed with them?
Yes.
A form of escape for me, one would say?
Yes. It can be 1:00 in the morning, and he's like, "I'm finishing this movie."
Love them. I just love it. It's like a detachment from reality. That's why I love them so much.
You keep me sitting that long or lying down that long on a couch, I'm falling asleep guaranteed.
That's unfortunate to hear.
You
It's unfortunate to hear.
looking forward to our next date?
I want to lay on the couch with you for hours.
Big spoon.
Me or you? Are you calling me a big spoon? Got a little dip on that chip, huh? No, we went and watched Gladiator 2. Although I did fall asleep, I think that I have a critique. My critique of that movie was it's been so long since the first one. And I was trying to remember if I'd even watched the first one.
It's wild.
But I think I have. But then I was like trying to relate the first one to this one. There wasn't very many references other than the dad or
The
whatever.
intro.
Yeah.
The whole intro was a reference. Is actually the whole movie summed up behind the credits. That's probably the only connection.
No, because the daughter was still like leading that place.
There were small connections, but I don't think it was meant to be entirely connected.
Yeah.
Because like it's been 20 years.
It's been a long
It's
time.
crazy.
And the idea of this sequels, like do you remember sequels that were flops to you? And do you remember sequels that were like, holy crap, these are good?
Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2, which is actually have another sequel coming out soon.
It's Scary Movie 13.
I think they stopped at like 4 or
Four or
like
5,
15 years
yeah.
ago. So
It's been that long?
yeah, that was
As long
another
as the
early
Wayans-
2000s movie.
Those were good. What do you think were flops? What kind of sequels do you think were the floppers?
The Matrix, kind of.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
kinda.
the first one had so much hype, and I think that's an injustice to the second and third.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the fourth one. I kind of want to. but
Didn't I send you something online on Instagram that was like the creator of the Terminator and the Matrix? They were intertwined.
yeah, but that was so wild. Like that.
But she made them, so like she wasn't just making it up. Like she's the one who wrote those movies.
Yeah, but they're not in the same world. When you actually look at the details of what she said, and I don't remember what it was, but I remember getting to the end and I'm like, this is...
It's a hard reach. Yeah, for sure. I think some of the best sequels for me, I mean, one, Home Alone. Home Alone 1 and then Home Alone 2 was even better. I liked Home Alone 3 a lot, but obviously it didn't have such a PR drive. I've never seen Home Alone 4, but there is one. And then the other, I think the best sequel is Godfather 2. I've actually watched that recently. I watched The Godfathers this year. Like I watched The Godfather for the first time this year, and then I watched The Godfather 2 recently with my uncle. Dude, incredible. Those movies are great. I mean, they're long as heck, but they are great. I want to say The Godfather 2 is almost better, if not better, than The Godfather 1, which is saying a lot because The Godfather 1 is probably arguably one of the best movies ever made, ever.
Yeah.
It was just such I think it was new for the time, and it was also like, it was the start of so many other types of movies like that. Like Godfather and Godfather 2, that whole thing came out, and then you see like Goodfellas, and then you see like Casino, and you see like all those things. The Sopranos, they couldn't have existed without that movie. Like the Bronx Story, like those Bronx Tale. I mean, those things, like, I just think it started so Carlitos' way. I keep going on, but I think that was probably one of the best sequels I've ever seen, Godfather and Godfather 2. I've never seen the third one, though.
I'm nodding my head and saying yes, but I don't think I've seen either of them.
You've never seen Godfather
I don't
and Godfather
think
2?
I might have maybe once.
It's dated for sure, right? But like, it's beautiful. Somehow it's such a beautiful experience. The biggest flop for me was anything after the Fast and the Furious 2. Tokyo Drift was cool, but somehow they intertwined those. Like, Fast and the Furious, the first one was like impeccable. And then the second one was cooler. And then it just kind of got messy, and now they're in space. And
For me, Saw and Final Destination.
Final Destination was wild.
The others weren't as good. Maybe 2 kind of.
Yeah.
But Saw, I think, didn't really hold up too well after maybe the second one.
You know,
it's been like 8 sequels since then.
From literally a personal experience with Final Destination franchise, I worked at a studio when I was younger in Santa Fe, and we did ADR work. And so ADR work is basically like voiceovers after the fact of filming, right? And so I was in the session for one of them for Final Destination 5. I can't remember. You'll see our name in the credits. It's not mine, but the name of the studio.
Yeah.
And it was cool because these actors are just talking to you like me and you, and they're like, all right, we're going to roll the scene. They roll the scene for a little bit, and then they do their part, and they're in character. It was crazy. It was so cool. I'd never seen anything like that. There's a franchise that I do want to say was insane, and the way it was built. So the first Paranormal Activity was haunting for so many reasons, to me anyways. I think a lot of people who truly like horror films...
I think it launched jump scare movies, to be honest.
Yeah, but it was like... It starts off based on true events, right? And I'll dig into that in a minute. But the way they filmed it was like the Blair Witch Project, but so much better, right? Because I remember the Blair Witch Project was freaking renowned. Like, people were like, what the heck? You thought it was real. Like, you thought it was real footage. Obviously, it wasn't. But nonetheless, they did the same thing with Paranormal Activity, and they started it with based on true events. Well, because it terrified me so bad, I had to dig into it. Because I had to be like, what true event? Like, what was it? I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I want to say the directors, the creators of the Paranormal Activity, it started with something falling off their mantle one night. That's it. And then dude went to work. Or woman. I don't know what it was, but that's insane to me. That was the true event.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying? So like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that like some movies do it right. Some movies do it strangely correct. And then some movies like fall on their face. You know, that's cool. It's cool for me.
You know what would be cool for both of us?
I think I know where you're going with this.
Where do you think I'm going?
To the socials.
The socials.
Going to the interwebs.
It would be cool to have more followers.
Okay.
More likes, more attention.
A little comment every
More
now and
power.
then. Yeah. Oof. Damn, talk dirty. Okay. Oh, oof, that fist.
But it would start with our Instagram.
Okay.
It's probably the one that's most thirsty right now.
The Grammy needs a little bit of love for sure.
Sometimes we have clips pop off, and sometimes, well, most of the time we don't.
Yeah. Pop off and pop non.
Yeah, whatever he said. TikTok.
Yeah.
Whatever happens on TikTok, I don't know. Facebook.
Yeah.
The buttons.
Yeah.
And the clicking there too.
On YouTube. Yeah.
Well, actually, this exactly would be it.
Yeah. Thumbs up it, comment, like, subscribe, hit the little bell, you know.
Ring a ding dong.
Yeah.
Not ding-a-ling, sir.
What did I say?
You said ding-a-ling. We need your support. We need your love. We have trouble sleeping at night when we don't get attention. That's why we're doing this.
We need your support. We need your support. Fully lacking is just bosoms waiting to be supported by you.
Jesus.